What's up guys, Azura here, and today we are here to take a look at our monthly set, our first impressions of the monthly set. And this month, unfortunately, it is only Fighters Collection 2. Unlike last time where it came with a main set, Fighters Collection, this is the only set of the month, and honestly speaking, I think all of these cards are super mediocre. The majority of these cards are for tier 4 copium decks, but I guess we'll take a look at them anyways. I guess we'll start with all the GRs. These are probably keyword the best cards of the set. So first off, we have for OTT the Wakuruhime, I think is her name. Oracle. Let me just quickly pull the effects so I don't get it wrong. Because I do not remember what half these cards do. I only remember the cards I care about, and this is not a card I can say I care about. But her effect, I don't just remember. I can pull up if it's on attack or if it's an act or whatever. But Oracle, okay, Oracle when attacking Vanguard, CB1, G Persona flip. So to draw 2 and put 1 card on top of your deck. So lets you draw 2, lets you stack a trigger on top. Pretty cool. Nothing too particularly amazing. But in the context of OTT, this card is very good. Only issue is it is in OTT, and OTT is not exactly the best of clans right now. So pretty okay card and a pretty mediocre clan, unfortunately. But if you are an OTT player, you probably will want at least one pair of this card. Next up, we have another card that is pretty okay in a pretty mediocre clan. The Bustard, I think is the name of this card. The Mio Kaiser Bustard. So in skills, once per turn, when attacking a Vanguard, CB1, turn any card in G-Zone face up, stand at the same number, stand rears for every face up copy of itself you have face up in your G-Zone, and stand tier. If you stand at 2 or more and have exactly 5 rears, this unit gets the following ability: when this unit attack hits a Vanguard, so it is on hit, unlike it in TCG where it was just an on attack. On hit, CB1, discard 2, stand this unit, draw 1, and it gets drive neg 2. So this card can stand rears, and if you hit with this, you can stand your van as well. Unfortunately, they nerfed this card to on hit van for the van restand, but even with that, this is still probably Nova's best stride. This is probably a 4 of Novas if you're a Nova fan. Yeah, it kind of sucks they nerfed the card, but if you play Novas, you definitely want multiples of this card. And now for a card I do remember what it does, the Trans-Elf Messiah. GB2 on play if you have a Messiah Heart. CB1 G Persona flip to lock all rears on both players' board except for cards that are locked. And then the lock cards unlock themselves, I'm pretty sure. I'm going off the TCG, I do not remember what this card actually does. So you lock all, and then you lock everything that's not currently locked, and all the cards that are locked currently get unlocked, and then the cards that are locked on your opponent's side of the board are unlocked during the start of their battle phase. So, and this card basically reads CB1 G flip, soft lock their entire board. Unfortunately, it is not like what it was in TCG, where it just straight up locked the entire board on one side, hard locked. But this card's still pretty cool because it still shuts down their entire board. They cannot overcall stuff unless they go into harmonics to unlock their stuff. So just because of that, I think this card is pretty good. It gets around resist as well. It gets around resist. Stops them from swapping their board around with new cards, playing down new stuff to do combos and stuff. So I think even though this card got pretty heavily nerfed, I think this card is still pretty good and definitely at least a 2 of in the deck. But yeah, this card I think is very good. So for a Messiah player, definitely you want at least 2 copies of this card, but I don't think this card solves any issues with the deck, unfortunately. It just kind of gives you an out to resist now, so yeah. Next up, we have the Pale Moon GR. I do not remember her name, but her skill is Magia. Once returned, so blast 1. Flip anything you're dealing face up to get the following let me quickly pull the effect up. As you can see, I don't care about any of these cards, so I do not remember the exact effect of these cards. So it's GB2, Soul Blast 1 Magia, and to do 2 things. Call 2 cards from Soul, and they get plus 4k at the end of turn. And they go back to Soul at the end of your turn. And then for every face-up copy you have of her in your G-Zone, you give your rear the following ability on hit, call something from Soul. So you can give it to herself, you can give it to a rear. You can do like cool extension combos with Trapezist, I guess. I'm not a Pale Moon expert, but I'm sure this card can let you extend in pretty cool ways. So this card's probably okay. Again, I'm no Pale Moon expert, but I think this card looks okay on paper. Probably is worse than what it actually is. So Yeah, I don't know, you probably want, like, Tube is probably okay, if I had to guess, but yeah, nothing too impressive here. Next up, we have the Chronos Command Revolution. So, they just, in TCG, this card has like a block of text, but they basically just watered it down to make it more easy to understand. Zero. GB2 on play, if your G-Zone has a face a copy of Chronos Command, so the original one from set 1, the one that's on hit bot deck to the board. If you have a copy of that card face up, CB1 G Persona flip to bot deck all rears, including your own. So yours, your opponent's, everything that's went to the bottom. So again, this card deals with resist. It spins all their intercepts, so you can go face 3 times. Just be wary that you need to spin your own stuff as well. So a card that works really well is the grade 1, whatchamacallit, the grade 1 back row resist, because they have to punch into it anyways, meaning you won't have a word anyways for your next turn. So I think this card is actually really, I think this card is a very good 2-of in the deck now. This card basically takes up what Upheaval did, is what get over resist, get over Ningle 30, because it just spins everything. So I think because of that, I think this card is actually really good. I definitely think if you're a gear play, you definitely want at least, I would say you want exactly 1 pair, because any more, and you won't have enough space in G-Zone to play, because gears really are struggling for space in the G-Zone. But I think this card is a very, very good 2-up to have in the deck. You have a really easy way to set this up as well, because Split Pegasus, your ideal first ride, flips anything, so you can just use it to flip the Chronos Command, so this is live on second stride if you want it to be. So I think this card is actually really, really good, and probably the best GR from this set, by far. So yeah, I think this card is very good, and if you're a Gears play, you definitely want 2 of it. And finally, we have Pacifica. I don't remember her exact effect, but I can tell you, she like adds a bunch of Pacificas to hand, and she gets a crit, so I just look at her as the mirror stride, but gets a crit. So if you are a Pacifica fan, you probably want copies of this card. Otherwise, this card is probably the worst GR from this batch. I think this card does not do much of anything. Pacifica is definitely not the best Bermuda deck right now, and I don't think this card fixes any of the issues that deck already any of the issues that deck had. So I think this card just kind of filler, honestly. Probably worst GR in the set. Thank God I didn't pull any. So yeah, that's it for the GRs, for the triple rares. I'll just go over the ones that I think are notable. So that not being a lot of them, I think Claude Tenuous is okay. I think to say his name. Brave, once returned, Soul Blast 1 CB1. Flip anything in your G zone, and then you can call grade 2 card from your deck for every face-up copy you have of him face up in your G zone. So I think help you flood the board is pretty cool. And then GB3, if you have exactly 5 careers plus 10k plus a crit. So you can use them just to crit to 5 if you really want to, or just crit in general. And Soul Blast 1 CB1 to call boards, okay, not the worst thing in the world. I don't think this card belongs in the G zone at all if you actually have all the actual good cards, but I think this card is an okay filler if you do not own all of those set cards, being all the Brave stuff in set 10, like Tengens, Aerials, all the good stuff. So this card's a cool budget option, but not exactly something I'd see myself playing, considering I actually have all the cards. I think this card is worth talking about, the Mimi, I think's her name. On play, if your Vanguard's a Witch, so this is the OTT Witch, so this is basically saying play Coco, your OG set 4 ride. If your Vanguard's a Witch, you can discard 1 Witch from hand, and I think at the start of your opponent's turn, they may discard 2. If they do not discard 2, you put the top card of their deck into their damage, so this is not a ping, and this can actually kill someone. And they personally can't heal out either because it's not a damage, they're just putting it into a damage zone. So they have some, I guess OTT has hand control now, but my issue with this is that OTT isn't exactly known for retiring your opponent's stuff, getting rid of the resources, so I guess this was pretty good if you just continuously do this every single turn, which is cool. It gives OTT an actual deck. This is probably OTT's best deck on probably right now, just because of this stride alone. And the other skills, once per turn CB1, if you have if your soul has 1 or less card, I think, or no cards, draw 1. So you can draw you a card, and you immediately toss it to make your opponent basically force them to ditch 2 every turn. Eventually they'll stop being able to ditch cards, and then they'll just die. But I don't think this is gonna happen too often. But I think this is a cool card in concept. Probably not so good in practice, but it's still probably an okay card nonetheless. As for these other triple rares, I don't think any of these cards are particularly good. I also don't know how these cards do. I think the No Seal is okay, but this requires you build around No Seal. I think Gav is probably still the better deck, so it's a cool option, I guess. I think it's noteworthy to talk about that they nerfed the shit out of Warning. GB2, once per turn, if your heart is a Kaiser, so Vermilion, Crimson, all those cards. CB1, G flip to gain the following ability, attack the front row. This card in the TCG used to give 5k to rears, I think, per hit. So you can actually scale your rears. This card no longer does that, it just punches the front row. This card is honestly, there's not a whole lot of reason to go into this over just using Crimson's effect, because they are doing quite literally the same thing. So this cost of CB. For exchange of that, you get an extra drive check, I guess, but I really don't see why they nerfed this card. This card definitely could have stayed the exact same, and probably taken the spot over Pacifica or one of the other GRs to be a GR instead, but instead decided to make a triple rare and nerf the shit out of it. So unfortunately, this card is kind of whatever now. But yeah, it's there. Let's read other cards. What this card does, this card has, I think, the exact same guard restrict as Die Kaiser. If you check your 3, if they want a PG, they have to use at least 2 PGs to block, otherwise they die. The Quintessence Dragon, I think. So this card got quite heavily nerfed, so you don't be surprised it being Link Joker. On play, if your Vanguard is an Infinite, so Infinite 0 or the other grade 3, we got in set 6 of G, the Tengen set. If you have a Infinite as Heart and in Soul, so in TCG it was only Heart, cards 1 in Soul now. Do Soul Blast 1, CB1, and lock 1 front row, 1 back row, and if you have 4 or more damage, the back row gets Omega locked. In the TCG, it was the front row and the back row, both cards locked by this Omega locked, but now it is just the back row, so they nerfed this quite heavily, gave it a harsher condition, and just we made the effect worse, unfortunately. But I guess they didn't want you using it as a first stride, because if this card didn't have the soul requirement, you just stride this first and get front back block every single starting on first stride. So that'd be pretty powerful in 0. But I guess they didn't want that, so Link Joker forever doomed to not have a good first stride, unfortunately. So this card got nerfed quite heavily. Infinite deck wasn't exactly the best deck to play either, so I don't know why they nerfed it so hard. They probably could have kept it the same, probably wouldn't have done anything, would have been pretty annoying, but yeah, it kind of sucks they nerfed it, but it is what it is. There's the Bladewing deck. I know the double rare Heart is like mad annoying because it gets like to 21k base, but I think this card just like soul charges a bunch and refills your decks, so it's cool, I guess. It's there. I think the rest of these cards are all pretty ass. I think the Inverno is a like I think it's like a on play Soul Blast 1, flip anything to discard 1 to call a bunch of stuff. For every copy of stuff you have facing your G zone and they get boost, I think. Something like that. This thing's a good budget alternative to Selfina, the GR from set 10. So if you don't have any of those, it's probably an okay replacement. Obviously not as good because the cost actually has a cost on it, but it's there for the budget players, I guess. So yeah. And as for the double rares, there was one noticeable one that I do remember that I think I do want to talk about. For the most part, the double rares are all kind of whatever, and it's sort of all kind of bad. As far as I know, for these, all for your tier 4 copium decks. But speaking of tier 4 copium deck, where's the Witch Stride? This card is pretty noticeable just because I got fucked by it exactly one time and never again. Once per turn, if your Heart's a Witch and your opponent has 2 or more grade 0, CB1, you check out 10, you do the Witch stuff to one of the rears, and then you give and then for the turn you get Guard Restrict where they have to CB to use their guards, which is like pretty cool, I guess. But the actual good effect of this card is the last skill. At the start of your opponent's next turn, your opponent rides a card from their soul. So if your soul has like a grade 1 or grade 0, and that's the only thing you have, you're forced to ride that, and you can't exactly stride because you're not on 3 anymore. So I had a game where I had I think only 1 grade 1 soul, and I was forced to ride it, and I died to it because of that. So I think this card is like a card that you'll probably lose to like 1 time, and then you'll never lose to it ever again. So I think it's worth noting, just the gimmick, I guess. It's just kind of there. I think the guard is actually pretty cool though. Makes your burns all your points CV. And if they burn all of them last turn, they'll just die to this. So I think because of that, it's okay. This card is there, but I think witches still kind of suck. But nonetheless, this is a gimmick, I guess. But honestly speaking, I think the rest of these cards are kind of whatever. I guess Sea Breeze is kind of worth talking about. These other crate cards I remember are hot garbage, especially the PG. But I think Sea Breeze is worth noting, I guess. G Zone, if you if you haven't ridden to a 3 yet this game, and your hand does not have a grade 3, you can CV2 destroy one to Strider from your G-Zone. So basically, if your grade stuck, you can stride this and still kind of play the game. I think this card's actually not that bad. The only issue is most decks have better things to play in their G-Zone. I think this card only belongs in decks that don't have a fully established G-Zone. I think like all the really bad decks can afford to play like one of it. I think like Naru could probably play one of it because Naru's G-Zone is actually hot garbage. They have like 10 cards, 10, you know, they're 10 GRs, and then they cut the one Zoraz for this instead because Voltage is literally just Zoraz it better. So I think like some decks can probably afford to just slide on one of this. Like if you're already playing like filler in G-Zone, this card can help you maybe like 1 in 20 games, but not particularly amazing. But it is a cool tech if your deck just doesn't have the cards, or you just don't have the cards. So yeah. So that's it for this month's monthly impressions. Again, my verdict of this set: I think the set is hot garbage, and unfortunately, it's the only set of the month. So we are probably stuck in another month of Altmaul and Asha and Blade Master being the best decks, and whatever other Cobium decks you think is good. So. That's it for this month's first impressions. Tell me you guys what you think about this set down below in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.